Alrighty, we are live on the first Cherry City Guns and Ammo live chat. I'm joined by Pat, Real Man, a Genius. If you don't know this guy, go follow him. He makes some really tremendous videos, and he's just a really awesome guy. So make sure you follow him. If you don't, Lucas Baum, I'm going to give you a little shout out because you were the very first commenter on our very first live stream, and you were only 56 minutes early to the broadcast, so that's cool.
That was like me. I think I asked, I was like, does that mean it's 54 minutes from now?
Yeah. Lucas is already on here commenting, so that's cool. Brownies for my fat, good to see you. G23, that's everybody that I currently see that's commented so far. Is anybody else out there that want a little shout out? If not, you guys got a topic you want to discuss or a question?
Let me mute my phone, that way it doesn't start buzzing on us. There we go.
Is anybody here? Did everybody leave? I'm not getting more comments. What do you got going on right now, Pat?
Oh, just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Finally got the voodoo. So that's just
sweet.
a mocked up optic so I can figure out what size rings I want. Those are the mids, and I think I'm going to go with lows.
Yeah, it looks like, at least from here, it looks like you have a fairly decent gap. You can probably move them down just a little bit.
Yeah.
How's
I
the
like
cheek
that.
weld?
It's actually that gray bow terrain actually has a raised cheek piece. So that cone jumps up. It's not bad, but I still want it low.
Yeah. I only asked that because one of my more recent AR builds, I was able to use a pretty low profile ring. And then it didn't seem to be much of an issue shooting off the bench, but when I went to go shoot off hand, it seemed like I was really having to really crank my head down there to get my eye behind the scope. So I'm having to go switch that around and go to more of a medium height, just because my cheek weld was just not right. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, yes. See, those are the mids. I actually took that off of my AR, and those mids clear with about a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. I wouldn't quite say 3/16, but a little bit more.
Nice.
And to me, that's perfect. But on this one, you can see I get just a little bit too much clearance, so I'm going to go with lows on it.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty decent amount. Well, we got a bunch more cheap people jumping in now. Mohammed Rahman, this guy follows me on Instagram, comments all the time. Thanks for showing up. Alaskan Ballistics, I emailed you a link. Where are you at, man? Get that email, get the link, get on here. Colton Perryman. Oh, Lucas says, oh, I'm here. Okay. R4 Mississippi Thunder, thanks for showing up. Mohammed Rahman, wish I could have an AR. Do you live somewhere where you're not allowed to have an AR? If so, I'd move.
Yeah. Sometimes that's tougher said than done, but yeah.
It absolutely is. You know, I live in Oregon, so I'm in a pretty blue state. But we don't have things as bad as like Washington or especially like California. But it's still not as free as I would prefer. But yeah, I've thought oftentimes it'd be kind of nice to move, but it's far easier said than done. My wife and I, we both have careers here and we have family here, and we just, it's a lot to try to walk away from just for better gun laws. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Chuck, lows on a rail, mids on loophole types. See, I've got a low on a rail, and it's too low for me. I've got to go up to a mid. My cheek weld, I just don't care for. I really got to crank my head over instead of being more upright like I prefer to be. Maybe it's just that scope or what, I'm not sure. But for me, it was just it's not good. I don't like it.
Well, the only reason I marked that one up is because the barrel's a little bit of a heavier profile. And I've got a 20 MOA rail, so tips that front objective closer to that heavier barrel.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I wanted to see how close it got before I brought in the lows, which you can see the daylight right through it. So,
oh, yeah.
lows it is.
I mean, it all depends. You know, I think I could probably stick with the low mount that I have if maybe I had a different stock. I think a lot of it has to do with the stock. It's just kind of pushing my head higher than maybe I want to be, but it's a lot easier to change the mounts than the stock, you know. So, and I'll probably find something else to use that low on. Eric Neerman. I hope I'm not butchering your name. I'm sorry. Thanks for showing up. Glad to see you here. And our first question from Colton Perryman: what do you think about Budden? I'm assuming you mean Biden. We could probably talk a lot about that. I think everybody's, at least if you're interested in this kind of stuff that we talk about, you probably have some pretty strong feelings.
Well, mine are comical today, just to prove the whole earpiece thing. Did you see him walk through the doors? And he actually said it out loud, salute the Marines. Someone was in his ear and told him to salute the Marines. Instead of saluting the Marines, he said it out loud.
You know, you'd think he'd be used to that, being that he was vice president for 8 years.
Well, yeah, I kind of think that they are literally somebody 50 feet away just being like, salute the Marines, man. You know, just because.
I think he needs it. I mean, I've seen multiple interviews during his campaigning where you could see his wife, like, more stuff under her breath, like, to try to remind him what he's supposed to be saying. I don't think he's all there, man. And I don't think they care. I don't think there's any intention on his party's side of having him actually be in that position for 4 years. I think a lot of us feel that way.
And you know, I actually did. I've had some decent conversation with some of my friends that are on the left, and I asked them. I said, "Are you actually enthusiastic about Joe, or is this just about getting Trump out?" And there was no enthusiasm about Joe.
No, and you know, I didn't really want anybody that initially ran to win because I didn't feel that any of them really represented what I'm interested in, and honestly, neither did Trump. But he was the least bad option for me. But there was definitely people on the Democrat side that had a lot more to speak to that I think could have been a much better president than Joe. But you know, you kind of seen how the DNC runs. They decide who they're putting up, and come hell or high water, that's the person for them.
Oh yeah,
it was kind of that way with Hillary. I almost kind of felt like the DNC defeated themselves last time. Like Trump didn't, I think, really had to do a whole lot just by them pushing through somebody that, you know, nobody liked.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think this time, they honestly got caught with their pants down when Biden got the nomination. I guarantee you, when Biden got the nomination, the DNC was like, "Oh no," you know.
Well, they figured it out. I mean, by hook or by crook, they got their way. So, kind of the way I feel on it. Let's see. Let's get to another comment. James Pooh, what's up, guys? How's it going, James? Glad to see you here. James is everywhere.
Oh yeah, James is one of my religious commenters, and I really appreciate that. He is on my side.
Yeah, same thing. Him, brownies for my fat. For me, Muhammad Rahman. I mean, if I put anything up, they're liking, they're commenting. You know, you couldn't ask for better fans of these guys. They really helped me out a lot. Oh, in the United Kingdom. Okay. Yeah, no ARs there, I guess. Guess you got to come stateside.
You know, just for the UK, okay? I understand that Muhammad is going to like this. My brother-in-law came from the UK a little over 10 years ago, and it was right before Christmas. And what I did, just knowing his background and where he was from and the rules there, I bought the ugliest, blackest, scariest, most tactical looking knife with serrated blade. And I handed it to him for Christmas. And he opens it up and he says, I can't have this. I mean, literally just like pinches it like it's dirty. And I can't have this. And I
Right.
said, no, dude, you're in the good old US of A. And he's like, no, I mean, I can have this. And I said, put it in your pocket, do something, get comfortable with it. Now he carries a gun every day.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that so many places outside the US, they kind of, like breed fear of guns into them because they really don't want their citizens to have guns because they don't want citizens, they want subjects. So I think they just indoctrinate that fear. And I see it happening here. I mean, you go to any college campus in America, they're kind of trying to do the same thing. And it's scary,
Oh yeah.
You take these people and you actually put a gun in their hands for the first time, take them out. And I've had the honor of taking several, a lot of different people out for their first time shooting a gun, and some of them were terrified to even touch it, kind of like you were saying with the knife. But without fail, every single one of them, by the time we left the range, they had just a big goofy smile on their face, and they were like, "Man, this was so much fun. When can we come do this again?"
And that's what it takes. You
Yeah.
know, part of being, let's say, even a YouTuber, you're a 2A ambassador. I mean, you are just showing something and people watch it, and that might drive them to go down and rent something from their local gun store at the range, take a gun rental, or ask a buddy, say, can we like make dialogue and go to the range or something
Yeah.
like that. And yeah, it's all about being a 2A ambassador and getting those
Absolutely.
guns into people's hands and letting them realize that they're not just flame breathing, belching death machines,
Oh yeah, I think
And
some of them are convinced they're just going to start shooting all on their own, and if you're within 100-foot radius, you're going to die.
oh, dude, I'm surrounded with guns and I ain't dead yet.
Yeah. I mean, some of them they treat it like it's plutonium, So yeah, and it's just how people are raised, and unfortunately, some people just are raised to be in just total fear. I know I've got several people in my life, either friends or family, who maybe are married to somebody who's terrified of guns, and just for that reason, they're not allowed to have them. And that's really too bad. So, anyway, let's get on to the next one. Let's see. James Pooh. Yeah, UK guys got it bad. 3 guns to a home and pellet guns count. Is that what the law is? You're only allowed to have 3 guns? I was not aware of that.
I've got a buddy that's he's a Facebook friend, and he applies for every gun license he can get as they time out. And I have watched him purchase a numerous amount of firearms. He's got a 243, multiple shotguns, just picked up a lever action 410. And literally they're only allowed so many guns so often. And he is just right up on it, applying for that next license. And as soon as the license hits, he buys him another one. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I've seen both sides of it. I mean, they are highly restrictive compared to us. But
now, is he allowed to keep them in his home, or does he have to keep them at a gun club?
Yes. Now, see, that's mostly what I'm seeing is they have to keep it at the gun club.
Yep. So I got to be friends with a guy from the UK. He was here doing some schooling, and we took him shooting. He'd never touched a gun. He wasn't anti-gun. Luckily, he hadn't been brainwashed into thinking they were scary. He was just like, well, I've never had an opportunity, just because those opportunities aren't as common over there. And he had a great time, had an absolute blast. And then the next time I saw him, he came back for a visit after he went home after schooling. He came back for a visit. And as soon as I saw him, he's like, "You'll never guess what I did. I bought a tutu." I was like, "Tutu? Ballerina? What are you talking about, tutu?" And I was just confused. He goes, like a tutu, a rimfire. I was like, "Oh, you bought a 22. That's awesome." Yeah, and he was saying he has to keep it at the gun club. He bought it from a guy at the gun club because it's easier to buy a gun from somebody at the same gun club because otherwise you buy it, and then he said you have to apply for like a license to let you transfer it in your vehicle, but you have to have like the date, the time, the route. I will be on this route at this time, going from this address to this address with my firearm to transport it from one gun club to another gun club. And I was like, that's just insane. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Now, New Jersey was pushing for that, but New Jersey's
Really?
was so restrictive that you literally, to transport your gun from one place to the other, you have to list, if you anticipate that you're going to need gasoline, you have to, yeah, like when they say point A to point B, you don't stop at Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, it's like,
that's crazy.
yeah.
That's absolutely insane. So in Oregon, once again, pretty blue state, but we have it pretty good compared to some other ones. We actually have 3 instances where we're allowed to carry concealed without a concealed carry permit, which is pretty extreme, for a Democrat state. And it's on your way to or from a hunting trip, on your way to or from a fishing trip, on your way to or from a gun club where you are a member. But again, it's one of those point A, point B. You stop at 7-Eleven and it's all out the window. You stop for gas, it's all out the window. It's your home to where your destination and back, and that's it.
I just love Tennessee. I love Tennessee. See, even without a carry permit, the state has taken the castle doctrine, where you can defend your home without a duty to retreat. They've extended the castle doctrine to your vehicle.
Really?
So, yeah. Now that it's good and it's bad, because you can carry in your car and not get hit with intent to carry. You don't have to worry about that. But the problem is, if you have to use it in a self-defense situation, the minute you exit that vehicle, you need that carry permit, because then at that point, it's a felony. So, it kind of puts some people in some bad situations, which I don't think the police are going to use it like that. But you still need your carry permit. And, I keep mine completely up because I like state reciprocity. I will run from here to Florida, recently just carried down to Savannah, Georgia. I'll be going to South Carolina soon. Just all over the Southeast, my Tennessee carry permit reciprocates. So instead of just taking the little online one, I use the full-blown carry permit that's recognized in multiple states.
Okay. Now, do you have to be a resident of Tennessee to have a Tennessee carry permit?
I've got some friends that play with addresses, but I keep an address in Tennessee. So
the only reason I ask is my oldest daughter goes to school at the University of Memphis, right there, and she's gonna be 21 this next October, and she really wants to carry. Oregon's is not recognized in Tennessee. There's no reciprocity there. Oregon doesn't hardly have any reciprocity with anybody. Nobody wants to play with Oregon because Oregon's not willing to recognize anybody else's. So everybody's kind of like, well, screw you. If you're not going to recognize ours, we're not going to recognize yours. So getting her an Oregon carry permit wouldn't do her any good in Tennessee at all. That's the reason I asked that question.
Does she go to school as an out-of-state resident?
Yes.
Is that kind of one of those? Yeah. I see how it would be a gray area, but I couldn't give a definitive, but it doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Yeah, like her driver's license is still an Oregon driver's license. Her car is still registered in Oregon. Everything's registered as an Oregonian because, she's just their out-of-state student.
Yeah. So. And if she's known as an out-of-state student paying out-of-state tuition,
right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I said, I'm not a lawyer, but
do you know if Tennessee recognizes Utah?
I don't know about that. I would have to look that one up. But
I know Utah
Tennessee would recognize her keeping it in her vehicle.
Oh, is under the castle law?
Yeah, under the castle doctrine.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't want to be in Memphis and leave a gun locked in the car and expect to come back and find it.
Yeah. So it's been, as you know, Memphis is pretty shady.
Yeah.
There's things to fear in Memphis, and my daughter's not old enough to carry, and one of her teammates walking to practice one morning. They start practice at like 6 a.m, and one of her teammates walking to practice from her dorm building, so walking across campus, was almost abducted. Had a carload of guys get out, and try grabbing her. Luckily, she's pretty small and quick and agile, and managed to get away and run to an area that had people. So that's it's kind of scary. So my daughter's been carrying spray and a knife on her ever since, because I mean, what else can you do? I mean, it's better than nothing. But she wants to be able to carry, especially now that she's not living on campus anymore. Her and a couple teammates rent a house. I'm going to have to look and see if they recognize Utah, because I know Utah is really, really widely accepted across a lot of states. They have a really high level of reciprocity, but you don't have to be a resident of Utah to get their carry permit. I know because Oregon has very poor reciprocity. Most people in Oregon that I know that have an Oregon concealed carry permit also get a Utah one, so we can travel outside of Oregon and still carry. I'm not sure if it's covered in Tennessee. So something to look into.
Now, teach her how to think on her feet too. Recently, we had an abduction, or an abduction. Boy, that word's too hard. But anyway, the girl was stepping out of a restaurant, and the boys grabbed her up, threw her in the back of a car. And she said, "My dad is coming out right now," and they let her go.
Wow.
Her dad wasn't there, but she thought quick.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now they got it all on video. They wound up picking up the guy. The kid, I was telling my wife, he was our bartender one day. And his family, they've got their hands in land auction. They've got a pawn shop. They got a bar and grill.
Wow.
That family it's a name around the town. And this kid thought he needed to abduct a chick.
That's terrible.
But anyway, she thought quick and simply said, "My dad is coming out right now," and they let her loose. So even with the knife, the spray, teach her to think quick.
That's great. That's great advice. Something to really think about. I told her we were doing a live chat. I don't know if she's watching or not. She's pretty busy between being a student and an athlete. It keeps her with basically no free time. But that's how it goes. It's awful for the people in the UK. Yeah, it is. Because they're subjects. They're not citizens. If you don't have the right to defend yourself and your freedom, you're not a citizen. UK gun laws suck. I'll be in America soon. Great. You're making a great move. Do you know where you're going in America, or you still figuring that out? Let us know. Eric Neerman. I was right. Is it Neerman? Is that what you're saying? I don't remember what I said the first time. Lucas. Yeah, I think most people here would probably agree with you. Let me see. Oh, I lost track where I was at. Wow, we have a bunch of comments I didn't realize. Here's our first real good gun question. Any advice on the AR-10 build? Pat, I'll let you take the floor. Have you done an AR-10 build?
No, I haven't built an AR-10. The only AR-10 in quotes that I've messed with was just the ultimate. It was a POF, the Revolution, and that's just it. If I go to take an interest in an AR-10, it's basically an AR-15 sized AR-10. I've got a video on ARFCOM, AR15.com, that I did with that gun. I'm not building an AR-10. I'm buying a POF Revolution. Done.
Really? Huh.
Yep.
It's good to know. I'm not even familiar with those. I'll have to check them out. It's
a sub MOA guarantee right out of the box. Less than 7 pounds. Of course, it's optics ready. We had the DI, the direct impingement. Now it's about $2,400, but straight out of the box. It comes with a 4-pound trigger. You ain't got to buy nothing, dude.
Well, I mean, you've got that in a bolt action 22. What's it to spend that on an AR-10? You know.
Well, yeah. But no, when it comes to that, like I said, when it comes to that AR-10, I think they just did it. And it basically, see, I had built a 458 SOCOM. And when I got into the 308, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, I built this 458 SOCOM. I built it straight up with Tromix parts, Tromix barrel, Tromix bolt, everything. And so everything's high quality. And then I realized this 308 shoots flatter. It shoots with about the same energy, all sorts of things. And I said, yeah, I'm getting a POF.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's some, you know, I'm not a huge 308 fan. I don't have anything against it. I just don't. I don't have a use for it, basically. As far as advice on an AR-10 build, it depends on what you're going for. And of course, in AR-10, there's a lot of different things that you could build it in. You know, there's a lot of different options out there. Are you building something short and tactical? Or you do a 308 pistol? You want something that's going to be a long sniper rifle type of AR-10. I mean, I think we both know enough, even though maybe we haven't done AR-10 builds, we could probably steer you towards something pretty easily. But we need a little more info on what you're trying to get out of it. You know. You got anything on that, Pat?
And the beauty of the AR-10 build, I know I completely skirted it and said what I would do, but the beauty of it is you have a prerequisite, and it's basically you're going to need a lower, you're going to need a decent trigger, you're going to need your buffer tube, and all of the things that you're going to need. So let's say that you're not decided, do I want a 24-inch or do I want a 16-inch or do I want to bring this thing to beat this flame throwing 12.5? You can buy your prerequisites. You can buy your lower. You can buy your upper. You can buy your pieces while you're making your mind up. And that's one thing I love about AR-15. Yeah, well, AR-15, it would reply to an AR-10. My wife, she saw one of my rifles one day. She said, how much you got in that thing? And I said, $40 at a time, honey. And she had no problem with it. So when it comes to an AR-10, literally you can go $40 or $100 at a time and just completely, it's like a layaway where you get everything all at once. So he could go ahead and pick out his lower, get a good lower. I haven't heard anything bad about arrows.
No, I really like arrows a lot. And
I'm a big fan of a Timney trigger. Of course, you don't have to drop the cash on a Timney. There's actually some pretty decent drop-in triggers that are coming out. So, you can build it one piece at a time. And like I said, you got to have a lower. You go ahead and buy your lower. Go ahead and get your LP kit, your lower parts kit, grab a couple mags, and then just simply decide, do I want this thing to be a long barrel for a long range or play toy?
Yeah. What caliber do you want it in? I mean, there's so many options with the AR-10. Not as many as there are with an AR-15, but you still have a lot of caliber options. You can get some really weird wildcats too. I mean, I've actually thought that if I was going to do an AR-10, it'd be for the ultimate close quarters battle rifle. And for a close quarters battle rifle, I want heavy and slow. And so I thought doing a 458 Winchester, 358 Winchester. I thought that'd be a lot of, I'm sorry. My brain's not working. A 338 Federal is actually what I would do first. I think a 338 Federal would be a cool, close quarters battle rifle with a ton of knockdown. You could elk hunt with it. I mean, that could be an elk hunting AR-10 without any problem. Then again, you do that with 308 too. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. See, I would be inclined to do one of the Raptors. That would be my problem. I would want to do like 45 Raptor or something. Yeah,
that's like specialty brass. You're gonna spend a ton on brass. I'm already kind of in the middle of a 50 Beowulf build. I've got a friend that's got a 50 Beowulf. I've shot it a decent amount, and it's it's like a an AR shooting 500 Magnum. I mean, it's so similar to the 500 Magnum, just more velocity because you've got a longer barrel. But the brass, man, because I reload more than anything else, especially now. I mean, if you want ammo now, you almost have to reload. But I've always been a reloader because I like to shoot far, far more than I could ever afford to buy in boxed ammo. I started looking at brass for that 50 bale, especially since it has that rebated rim. It is not cheap. Speaking of that, French fries, y'all reload? I reload a lot. I reload, I cast, I do some wildcat stuff. Anything that has to do with reloading, I'm pretty much into it. What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I reload. My problem is finding primers, man. I've been able to find powder locally. I've been able to find projectiles locally. I've got brass by the buckets, but finding primers.
Yeah.
I've got a Smith coming back for a really slick trigger job.
Yeah, that's 627.
Yes. Yeah, that thing's
so freaking sweet.
Well, it's coming back with a ridiculously sweet trigger job, but the problem is I can't find the federal primers that I need. So instead of having a 7-pound double action trigger pull, he's had to set it for 8. That way I can have a wider variety of primers just as I can get them.
Yeah, I've got a Ruger GP100 357, and I did a really, really, really great trigger job on it. It's a pretty trick trigger. But if I can't get a hold of federal primers, like you said, because they've got thinner primer cups, so a little softer, I have to put the heavier spring in. Because if I'm loading like with CCIs, which at least at this point in time, CCI primers is the vast majority of what I have. CCIs are just too hard.
Yeah,
I would have very, very unreliable ignition with that softer spring in it. So yeah, I know what you're saying. The Federals would be nice to get a hold of. Then again, anything would be nice to get a hold of. I'm going to start a whole series on 22s because I have a lot more 22 shells than I have primers, and I'm hoping I can continue making a gun YouTube channel until we get through this whole craziness that we're in right now. We start buying primers again. That's my number one concern, the primers. I got powder for days. Like you said, I've got buckets of brass. I make my own bullets, a lot of the time, except for like rifle stuff. But for pistol, I make all my own bullets, and it's the primers. I mean, the primers are killing us. I don't know if you've looked on Gunbroker lately, but people are going nuts with primers. I mean, there's people paying $300 for 1,000 primers. And it's some old stuff. It's not even like current production. It's some old stuff that, they probably pulled out of grandpa's reloading closet that's been in there for 40 years, It's insane.
But see, even to back up the whole federal thing, needing federal primers, just this morning, it was a Facebook video. I don't know if he put it out on Instagram or anywhere else, but the big guy at Federal, he come out and said, we are cranking out primers, but our priority is federal, and our lines is what we're feeding with our primers. So primers hitting the commercial market isn't happening because they are feeding their factories first.
Yep.
Which I can understand. They want to throw it out there. Reloaders were a smaller percentage of the market. So
and
they want to throw
at least money off us.
Yeah, loaded ammunition. You can buy it. I can buy it. Everybody buys it. Dude that don't reload, don't know how to.
Right.
Your mama's mama. Everybody can buy loaded ammunition.
Right.
So they're not worried about putting primers on the commercial market.
Yep. It's unfortunate. Hopefully this doesn't last too long. I heard word that the Remington plant's supposed to fire back up February 15th. So, but it doesn't sound like it's probably going to be quite full production because from what I heard, out of the 800 and some people that were laid off from the Remington factory, they only sent letters to like 200 of them to try to hire them back. Now that the ammunition division was sold off, but at least we'll have Remington back making ammunition, hopefully, the middle of next month. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. But once, same as what you were saying, their own ammunition is probably going to take top priority. So it probably still isn't going to help the primer situation. Hopefully we don't have more than like a year of not being able to buy primers. I mean, as it is, like my local place where I've been going, they said they haven't seen primers since like April. So yeah, it's kind of it's scary. You know, I've got a certain amount that I will not use except for, you know, keeping stocked away just in case things get weird. And that only leaves me a certain amount to make ammo with for doing shooting videos. I couldn't have chose a worse time to decide to start a gun YouTube channel. Middle of an ammo shortage, and yeah, I'm gonna start a gun YouTube channel. Why not? But you know, it is what it is.
Well, see what's funny. You're talking about YouTube channel. You know, I started seeing this coming in the spring, and I like the, you know, I like 30-30. I like 45-70. I've been shooting 500 Magnum for forever. You know, these cartridges that aren't normal. I'm not a big fan of 9mm. I'm not a big fan of 223 and 5.56. I don't shoot a lot of either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I started steering myself off into that world of, I'm not going to have to worry about this. And then suddenly I have to worry about this.
Those primers, they all need primers. Yeah, I've got a gun that shoots a 300 Kodiak, and I bet you probably haven't even heard of it. So, you know, I have to make it myself, but still needs primers. Still got to have primers. So, yeah, hopefully we can just weather the storm. Hopefully it doesn't go on for too much longer. I don't know. Were you the one that posted the video the other day about people camping out for ammo?
No, that was Todd the gun guy.
Oh yeah, that's right, Todd the gun guy. It's happening here too, and I know some of the people. I've seen people in line, you know, people that I know from like the gun club, because I'm a part of a pretty big gun club, and I've been a part of it for a while, so I know a lot of people, and I see those people there, and I'm going, I know you have a whole room full of ammo. What are you doing down here in line to try to get every last bit of ammo when I know you are stocked? But you know, that's what people are doing, and it's making it hard for everybody. It's like, if you have what you need, stop buying. That's the only thing that's going to stop this or slow it down, is if you don't need it, stop buying it. Leave it for the people that do need it, or maybe, just crazy thought, leave something on the shelf for once. Don't just say, "What's on the shelf? I better buy it." You know.
Well, see, I called a guy out yesterday. He come up.
Oh, really?
And yeah, he walked in the shop while I was picking up the voodoo there. And he said, I'm looking for 9mm for 50 cents a round. I said, it'll be on arms list for $1 a round before you get home.
That's right.
I mean, literally just walks in, knows what he's going to pay for it.
Wow.
But yeah, seriously, I'm looking for 50 cents a round for 9mm. Yeah. $1 a round by the time you get home. You're going to jump on that app and post it, hoping to meet somebody on your way back to Chattanooga.
Yep.
And it's not helping anybody.
Yeah, we just gotta stop. You know, that's the only thing that's going to stop this. And the only way people are going to stop is they have to start seeing stuff show up on the shelf and last for a little bit, and then they'll calm down. You know, we've been through this before. This is not the first time we've dealt with this. It's the first time we've dealt with this at this level. I mean, this is, you know, beyond anything that ever happened in the Obama years, as far as, you know, no primers, you know, no ammunition. But we've been through this before, and that's how it's happened every other time. We just have to start getting enough supply in that somebody goes, hey, I saw some of that on the shelf yesterday. Maybe it's going to be a little more available. And everybody calms down a little bit, stops buying just to buy it. And then eventually you see more and more coming back on the shelf. But, you know, I think it's going to take a long time. I'm not very hopeful.
Historically, you mentioning Obama, for the whole 4 years of Obama being, well, not 4, 8 years, but the last 4, every time he spoke, there was a run on guns and ammo.
Yep.
So right now, this administration, with it being on their website, public knowledge, what they plan to do, I don't see it stopping in this 4 years.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're probably right. I mean, you saw the comment I made on your post the other day. I think that the Obama years are going to pale in comparison to what we're going to see in this administration as far as the attack on the gun rights.
Yeah.
We're probably going to forget all about Obama. Obama's going to be a happy dream, you know?
Yeah, because you could kind of find stuff back then. You know, you could catch it every once in a while. Right now, everybody's in this tizzy, and they need to stop. But like I said, this was straight up on the, I want to say Biden/Harris. No, you say Harris/Biden website, because get used to saying President Harris. It's going to happen. Y'all don't hate me for saying it. It's going to happen. But
Biden said it himself accidentally one time. He said the Harris-Biden administration, and then he corrected himself. I'm like, no, I think you meant the first thing.
No, that's the whole part of him being loopy, is he's going to speak the truth. That's the whole thing about it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Can you still see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, I'm sending an email to Chuck because apparently he didn't get the link I said before, so I had to jump into my email real quick. Oh. Let me get Chuck an invite here.
So, James, did you have a good deer season, sir? I'm sure he'll comment something here good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're not going to see it. We're so far behind in the comments. I guess we need to start catching up here. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty tedious, but I find the ability to develop my own loads worth it. Absolutely. All three of my kids have shot deer. All three of my kids have shot deer with ammo they have loaded themselves. All three of them didn't want to do it. They thought it was stupid that I was making them load their own ammo. And I was right there. You know, they had me guiding them through the whole process. But then afterwards I said, do you feel like you got a little more out of it being that you shot a deer with ammo that you made? And all three of them said, yeah, that was pretty cool. So, yeah, I agree with you, French fries. It is cool. Brandon Davis, that's the point I make to people. The extremes of the parties select the candidates that the rest of us have to take, even though few are worthy of the title. Yeah, really. We have got, like 360 million people in this country, and we can't come up with some better options. I mean, that's just how it is. What a lucky man. I'm not sure what we're talking about, but I do consider myself a lucky man. We can't even carry knives here. And I guess I didn't know about that. Is there a length restriction?
No, that's what I was saying about him, giving him the ugliest, just most tactical, toothed looking knife on purpose, and him saying, I can't have this.
Right. So it wasn't because of any features on it, just the fact that it was a knife, period.
Yeah, just the fact that it was a knife, but I bought one with a clip and serrated blade and black and ugly, like UFO looking freaking cut your neck knife, just because I knew that he come from a country where they couldn't have them.
I didn't realize it was nothing. There was no knives.
No, like nothing. Actually, like you can't even carry fingernail clippers, dude.
Seriously, wow. I do remember hearing something a couple years ago where they were talking about even imposing chef knives to be under 4 inches blade length. Because they're saying no chef needs more than a 4-inch blade.
Yeah, and that comes down to, like in Tennessee, we used to have a law where your carried blade, if the police asked you to lay it, it couldn't extend past the end of your hand. And the thinking being, if you were to go stabbing on somebody, you're going to hurt them, but you're not going to get too deep.
Right.
So that used to be here in Tennessee. Now, dude, if I want to carry a sword, we got a sword. But like that used to be the thing, is the human hand you could take that edge of that blade and you couldn't extend past the end of your hand.
That
But
sounds very familiar. I think we had something like that here too. That sounds very familiar.
That all sunset, I want to say about 4 years ago. Now we can actually have automatics. Like you can get a switchblade.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know how long ago it changed, but we've been able to have automatics for quite a bit. Which is great because we have a lot of great gun knives here, literally within an hour of where I live. I'm an hour from Kershaw, Gerber, and Benchmade. They're all right here in Oregon. Benchmade makes some real. There's some questionable stuff in Benchmade's past, but they do make some really nice knives. And I have a buddy that used to be a machinist for him for a long time. Dan O'Neill, I fear a 454. There's nothing to fear. I've shot a lot of 454s and I've shot 460s, which is like a souped up 454. It all depends on the configuration. I mean, if it's real short and snubby, it might be a little hot. A good solid heavy built 454 is not really that bad. Do you have any experience with those, Pat?
Yeah, when I went to Brownells, I had them reserve the 460 VXR.
Oh yeah.
And of course, in August, the only ammo we could find were the freaking HSM bear loads. And I'm not one to flinch, but that freaking gun taught me how to flinch. I mean, it's because the VXR is the 8 3/8, and I don't know. Well, you've got the same 500 I do.
Yep.
They're Cadillacs. The 10 and a half inch performance center with the big brake.
Easy. Yeah.
The 8 3/8, it hurts.
It's mean
compared to the 10.5 inch.
My first 500 mag videos on my channel were all with my buddy's gun, and he's got a first gen 8 3/8 inch barrel where they didn't even have a full compensator. You just had a couple of ports right in front of the front sight. That gun's mean. And I physically witnessed that gun double fire. Literally, first shot went downrange, second shot went through the overhead at the gun club.
Yep.
And I remember when the first gen Smith & Wessons came out, I remember reading an article. They were talking about people were having that issue, and they were saying if you have that issue and you have rubber grips, wood grips, if you shoot with gloved hands, get rid of the gloves. Go to bare hands and wood grips, to keep that issue from happening, because it was being reported. There's actually a lot of video on YouTube that you can look up and see that happen. I happen to be lucky enough to see it happen live. And it's so fast, you don't even realize exactly what happened. You just realize there was something not right happened.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so fast.
I took my 500 to Brownells and shot it with the 460. But what I was doing was I was loading it one at a time, and those guys were looking at me like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And I actually took slow-mo, and one of them I showed, he only had one round in the chamber, but that hammer come back, went forward, come back, and went forward. I said, you realize you'd have just planted that thing in your forehead. And you should have just seen his face when he saw that hammer do that double flop in slow-mo. And he was one of the ones who's like, why are you only handing me one round? He was like, I was being cheap. And yes, it's like $2 a round.
Yeah.
I'm not being cheap. I'm trying to keep you from canoeing your forehead.
Yep.
And I showed him in slow-mo that he would have double tapped that thing. And what it is, just to explain, when it recoils, you try to, you pull the trigger and you're trying to compensate. So you're grabbing with all fingers, trying to keep that thing from coming out, and you hit it again. Mm-hmm. And it being a double action revolver, it will fire again.
Yep. Yeah, I have no fear handing my gun to anybody because it doesn't get that muzzle flip. That big old heavy barrel. What's the word I'm looking for? Barrel shroud that's on there, and that big old compensator. Yeah, it's the 10.5 inch performance center is a Cadillac. It's easy to shoot. My little 3-inch barreled 629 44 Magnum is a far meaner gun.
Oh yeah.
My son will shoot my 500, and my son is about as scrawny as you could imagine, with like no muscle tone or nothing. He's just a scrawny kid. He'll shoot my 500 without a problem. He won't shoot my 3-inch 629. The last time he shot it, it rotated in his grip enough that the cylinder release took a bunch of skin off the knuckle on his thumb, just because it rotated. And it's wood grips with a 3-inch barrel with 44 mag. So yeah, he won't shoot that gun, but he'll shoot my 500 all day long. So yeah, if you want a 500 that's not going to beat you up, the 10.5-inch Performance Center is the way to go. That being said, I want to shoot the 4-inch. I want to try it out.
I have a buddy that has the 4-inch.
Have you shot it?
I need to get him together for a comparison video. Just side by side, 4 versus 10.5. Just put it together.
Love to see that. I'd love to feel it. I want to feel it. I want to try it.
Oh, you know what it's going to feel like. Just you look like you're in your shop. Just take a hammer and just hit yourself.
Right? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Pretty much. Mohammed says plenty of illegal guns here, but the question is how they get here. Who knows? I mean, it could be like my country, where there's been times where we've been the ones supplying the illegal guns. I mean, what was it when we were giving them all to the Mexican cartel members? Operation Fast and Furious.
Yeah, Fast and Furious.
Yeah. So yeah, that could be it. Things that people are scared of other people, but they're making gun lovers suffer for it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so Muhammad agrees too. How long will the stream last? I don't know. I don't have a schedule. I don't know how long Pat wants to hang out. I'll stick with it. Gun Snob, glad to see you here. What up, guys?
Hello, sir.
Huh?
I said hello, sir, to the
Gun
Gun Snob.
Gun Snob's awesome. If you guys don't know the Gun Snob, go follow his channel. Shotguns are allowed. Now, when you say shotguns are allowed, does that mean like without all the crazy restrictions? Can you just buy them and have them in your home? Or does it fall in line with the other stuff? I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, in the UK, if someone breaks into your home and you throw a table lamp at them, you are opening yourself for prosecution. That's
really?
Yeah. I was hearing tell about one of the guys, they call it the garden, which is their backyard. And he said that the guy got tired of people jumping his garden fence. So he took just glass shards, and cemented them on top of the brick fence. People jumped the fence, got cut, and sued.
Bad thing is, I think I could see people getting sued for that here too.
No,
you don't think so?
A good judge, a good right-leaning judge that's like, dude, there's a freaking sign that says no trespassing. It's not yours. Stay out. I see it not going anywhere. But you also stand the chance of getting a judge that's sympathetic to someone that doesn't understand what property rights are.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I guess it depends on where you live. Because I know in my state, I don't be really specific on what I do for a living or who I work for a living. Because I know somebody that got fired because they had a picture of themselves with their work ID badge on their Facebook, and they made a bunch of very conservative comments on a news channel's Facebook page, and they ended up getting fired for it because they said, you're representing us because you have a picture on your Facebook that says who you work for, so that means you're representing us. But because of what I do have some knowledge on how some stuff is done here. And here's an example is homeless camps. So you go under any bridge in Oregon and you're going to see signs that say no camping, no trespassing, yada, 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 no fires, gives a whole list of things you can't do. And that basically encompasses putting up a homeless camp under the bridge. However, if the homeless put up a camp under the bridge, despite the fact that we've got a sign there that says you're not allowed to do this, if we go to evict them from a place that says no trespassing, we have to give them 14 days notice that we are going to come in and clean it out. And then when we clean it out, anything that is not very, very, very clearly garbage, we have to save and store so that they can come and reacquire it if they need to. And the definition of garbage is like you could have like an old ripped up sleeping bag that you or I would throw in the dumpster, but that wouldn't be considered garbage there because somebody could make some use of it, so it would have to be saved. So I know of a building that's full of homeless camp stuff. The entire building smells like feces and body odor from the amount of stuff that's having to be stored for 30 days from a homeless camp in case those people want to reacquire their goods. So that's how it is where I live. all the no trespassing signs of the world doesn't matter.
We don't have it quite like that here. Now, there was a store that I worked at doing a commercial refrigeration, and to preface that, a lot of times you'll wind up on the roof. And when you drive up in a big white van that has a ladder rack, that is a pawn shop target. So what I used to do is I'd sit on the edge of the roof, like literally I'm looking over the edge of the roof at the van, and you'd watch them. They'd come out of the woods, and they'd walk around. They'd start lifting door handles, trying to find one that wasn't locked. And I'd take my remote and go, bump, bump.
Watch them scatter like roaches when you turn on the lights.
It was cruel, but that was the sad reality of it. If it looked like they could lift anything worth anything, that's what they would do. So you literally, certain places, you've got to watch your vehicle. Wow. My truck now has toolboxes on the bed rail.
Right.
And yeah, if you're staying at a hotel or something like that, you get there early and you park right by the freaking front door.
Yeah.
And just to combat that kind of stuff.
It's terrible.
But now we don't have that big of a problem here.
That's good. Chuck says he picked up powder and primers. Where did you find primers? I need to know. I need some primers. Eric Neerman, my carry permit was officiated in 1776. Yeah, you got that right. I saw a thing floating around today. The Second Amendment is the only right that we have to have a permit for. If you have to have a permit for it, is it a right? Or has your right already basically been stripped?
Well, now, I do have a right to build what I want to on this piece of property that I paid cash for, but I am going to have to go give the county money for a building permit just to put a house on it. So,
but they could also tell you what you can put on there. You got to abide by their codes. There's more than just the permit there.
Well, right? Truthfully, here in the county that I live in, I could tie two sticks together. I mean, it's
really wow.
Yeah. Now, if I want electricity or if I want a septic tank, now I have codes. But as for my structure, I can do whatever the heck I freaking want to.
Wow.
That's what's wild. When I buy that building permit, like I said, septic tank, they're going to be on top of it because you'll give your neighbors dysentery. So,
sure.
Yes, the septic tank has to be inspected. The electrical, you stand a chance of burning the house down and killing your kids. Yes, that has to be inspected.
Mm-hmm.
But as for the structure,
wow,
we could have a teepee. I mean,
that is definitely not the case where I live. What I'm sitting in right now, my little reloading area. This is a 12 by 16 building. It's part storage. It's got lofts over top. I've got, like a barn style roof on it. So I've got lots of room in the lofts for storage. And underneath one loft, I have my little reloading area. This is not a permitted building because it's under 200 square feet. It's 192. And I didn't go over a certain height. So this is an unpermitted building, but I was able to permit electrical. And I actually have two of these side by side. One storage in my reloading area. The other end's my workshop. I do a lot of woodworking. It's I was able to put permitted electric in all of it, even though they're unpermitted buildings. Which when I went down to the city, I goes, "Am I allowed to do that?" And the lady was like, I don't know. I guess we don't really have a rule that says you can't, so I guess you can." And it's actually on its own service. I get a separate electrical bill just for these buildings because the power company put a service in for free. I just had to put in a meter base and do all the wiring and have the meter base ready to go, and they connected it all for free. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the same here. But yeah, like I said, I have to buy a permit. I'm about to have to do that, and that upsets me. I don't owe anybody for the piece of property, but I'm about to have to buy a permit.
Right. Gun Snob says, "See, in a good state, we let everyone carry a gun, permit or not." That's awesome. I can't remember what state you're in, Gun Snob. Is he in Tennessee?
Oklahoma, I think.
Oh, he's in Oklahoma. Okay.
I think.
Utah is Utah recognized in Tennessee? That's what I'm trying to find out. Nice, Chuck. Talked to a guy from Red Eye Reloading tonight about getting me dies and had 6mm projectiles. Nice. Rob, can you start posting 2 times a week? Yeah, I just got to get rid of that pesky job.
I haven't uploaded a video in 3 weeks, man.
You haven't uploaded a video in 3 weeks? Wow.
Yeah, I'm behind. I owe Arcom like 5 videos right now. I'm just.
I upload every Monday, and luckily I'm ahead. So Lucas is the nephew of one of my good buddies, where I've actually filmed a lot of my videos. But it's like a 40-minute drive, and I have a full-time plus job and family and all that stuff. So at this point in time, Lucas, I'm sorry, but I'm going to stick in, especially right now when I have to make my components last, man. I got to stick to 1 video a week, unless I do 1 video that's not shooting, that's just talking. And I don't know if you guys find me that interesting. So French fries, Alaskan Ballistics. Do you do precision reloading? And Chuck said, "Yep, starting to." I think if you're reloading for the most part, you probably are doing precision reloading, because otherwise, what's the point? That's effed up. I hope she's okay. I think that's probably talking about my daughter's teammate. She was shook up. She was real shook up. She was still my daughter's dorm roommate when that all happened, and her and my daughter spent a lot of time together, and she was kind of shooken for a couple of days, but from what I hear, she's fine now. Adam Hymus, hi. How you doing, Adam? French fries. What cartridges do you reload? What do you reload, Pat?
Oh, of course, 38 and 357. Those are probably my favorite. Just to get out and just indiscriminately blast at steel targets. 38 and 357, I really enjoy. 44. And now I'll load 44 from all the way from subsonic to heavy, because I shoot suppressed, and I love how 44 suppresses. You get a lot of power with no noise.
Okay.
I also load 4570 the same way. So I'll take 4570 and I'll go from 1,050 feet per second to freaking 900 or 1,900 feet per second.
Wow.
So yeah, I love 4570. I'm about to get into 3030 because I can't find it. 308. I'm about to get into loading 308. What else? Yeah, I'd have to study, but yeah, reload several. But mostly the reason that I reload is because I can make what I can't buy. Because I shoot suppressed, and shooting suppressed, it's hard to find subsonic loads that are what you want. You're not going to find this big honking 576 grain 4570 that's moving at 1050. That's hard to find, but on your own, you can do that.
What's the normal velocity on that size round of 4570?
4570 historically has been 1300 ish.
Okay.
New powders, of course, you can push it way faster with modern actions and things like that. Now, if you've got like a Ruger #1, you can really crank it up. But see, I shoot
Right.
it out of that Henry, so I only go what you would call moderate. But back in the day, the old trapdoors, the trapdoor 4570s, they could literally go from one end to the other of a buffalo. You could gore a buffalo from front to back at about 1,300-ish, 1,400 feet per second. So this new stuff that we're cranking up, it's pretty dang hot.
Speaking of the whole 4570 thing, I always had at least a mild interest in 4570. I'm kind of ticked at you. You showing off that Henry Dark, or is it the You got the? Is your 4570 the Henry or the Marlin?
I have got a Marlin Dark in 3030. That's the one that's that space cowboy with the rail and the brake and the suppressor and all the ridiculous. That's the Marlin Dark 3030. The Henry X in 4570. Now I put the Marlin rail on it, and I've got a 1 through 6 on it. That Henry, that's my 4570.
So I've only seen a few of the tactical lever guns a few different times, and I didn't really look at them that close, and I was like, they're kind of goofy, and not really interested. But you keep posting pictures of that stuff, and now I'm like, I kind of feel like I need a lever 4570 and kind of need to trick it out. So it's like, this is exactly what I need. I need another expensive gun and then put a whole bunch of parts into it and all that. So thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, Alaskan Ballistics just messaged me and said, send me the link.
I just sent him the link again for another, and he's texted me again. I don't know what's going on.
Go to Google Chrome, Chuck.
Yeah,
he just sent in. That just popped up. It just popped up across the top. Said, send me the link. I can't get the link, I don't think. Let me see here.
I mean, I've sent it to him several times.
Let me try this. Now, hopefully I don't cut out.
All right.
So hit that. Let me try to copy and paste. Copy link. Now.
What'd you do?
I don't know what I did. So. Okay.
Oh, there you are. Oh, we lost him. Well, I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. So I will answer for me French fries. I load. Let's see. We'll start with pistols. I load 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, 10mm, 38 357, 44 Magnum, 500 Magnum. There's Pat. You're back. So I think that's about it I was going through my list of what I reload. So yeah, 9, 40, 10, 38 357, 44, 500 Magnum, and then rifle cartridges. I reload the 223 556, 300 Blackout, 350 Legend, 243, 270, 308, 30.6, 7 mag, 300 Win Mag, 338 Win Mag, 300 Kodiak, which is my weird Wildcat rifle. I'll have to do a video on that. I think that's it. Oh, 6.5 Creedmoor. Got to include the old 6.5 Creedmoor. I think that covers everything I reload. Brandon Davis, I just checked. Utah is recognized without restrictions. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So we'll have to just get her a Utah concealed carry permit. The next Christmas, when she comes home for Christmas, she'll be 21 by then. We'll do the class and send her home with a gun. And she can't carry on campus, but she can carry everywhere else. Memphis is definitely a really sketchy town if you've never been there. She had to really look. Her and her teammates had to look to find a house that they could afford to rent, but also was not in a scary neighborhood.
People always say, Memphis, come for the barbecue and stay because you got murdered.
Exactly. Although, I mean, this might tick you off, but I had the barbecue and I was not impressed.
Well, now there are some pretty decent barbecue places around here. There's a Big Daddy's just opened up, and I'm chomping at the bit to go try it.
Okay. Well, we went to this place called Corky's. You guys have a Corky's on your end of Tennessee? Or have you ever eaten there? We heard Corky's was going to be great, and I ordered brisket, and it came out with barbecue sauce on it. That ticked me off.
Yeah.
You serve me brisket with barbecue sauce, I feel like you're trying to hide the fact that you don't know how to cook a good brisket.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you.
Like getting served a steak in a steakhouse and it coming out with A1 on it. I'll add that if I want to, which I don't. I don't do that. I like the taste of the meat. I was almost like offended. Like, why would you bring that out with barbecue sauce on it? That's not how brisket's supposed to be served. Anyway, maybe I just need to go. I'm flying out there in May to drive home with her because she has a car there, and it's like a 3-day drive back to where we live. So that's a long ways to go. So maybe when I go out there in May, maybe I'll find a better place. But yeah, Corky's didn't do it for me for sure. Colton Perryman, what's your favorite caliber? Why don't you hear your side, Pat? Let's do two. Let's do your favorite rifle and your favorite pistol, because I would have a hard time saying just one between pistol or rifle or anything.
Well, my favorite rifle this year is 30-30. I'm sure I'm going to have to back it up and say why. And the reason is, around here, all these old timers say that it's a 75-yard at max round. I dropped 4 deer from 140 to 178 yards today, or this season.
That's impressive.
And did so ethically and just put meat in the freezer. Okay.
What was your longest tracking of those 4 deer?
Within 50 yards.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I had one that was dead right there, just fell where he was. 2 heart shots that ran 50 yards, and then a double lung that, you know how an airplane does that whole,
Yeah,
I did a double lung, and he ran until he ran sideways, like he was like this, parallel with the ground. So, no more than 50 yards. And so 30-30 really did it for me. And of course, both ears, I shot it suppressed. It's not the quietest thing in the world, but you can still hear. It's cool. My buddy David was hunting on the other side of the property, and he could hear the bullet, no boom, but he could hear the bullet go. So,
you hear the smack?
Yeah, he could hear the body thump. And then I'd hear the radio. Hey, did you just get one? But yeah, 30-30 for rifle. Had a blast because I did something that most people don't think you're supposed to do. And especially considering that rifle, like you mentioned on Instagram, so many guys are commenting like, dude, that's gun porn, because it's freaking sweet. But anyway, so 30-30.
Text the thing to a picture of it to Chuck, and he'll just have to manually enter it because he's saying he's still not finding anything in his emails.
Oh, well, I sent it to him in Instagram.
Oh, okay.
That's why I went dark. But
okay, gotcha.
Favorite handgun caliber is the 38/357. Just my favorite. I own far more 38 and 357s. I could probably thin them out and get rid of a couple, but 38, 357, I've got the most brass. I've got the most reloading stuff. Just my favorite.
Nice. For pistol, I'm going to echo you. 38, 357. Absolutely. So versatile. I load these little 148 grain double-ended wad cutters and 38 specials, the ones that you seat almost all the way down into the brass. And, in a heavy 357, those kick like a 22. So that's like one of my, after if I take somebody shooting that's never shot pistol, I'll start them off with the 22, and then that's the next step before 9mm. Because 9mm kicks more than those things. Like a 6-inch barrel 357, and then you can go all the way up to a heavy bullet and push it as hard as you can. What's up, Chuck? We finally got you here. We've only been trying for like an hour.
I finally found the link in a spam folder. I was texting you. I just checked on my spam folders. I didn't check that one because I was like,
I literally have emailed it to you probably like 6 times.
Well, I popped it to you on Instagram.
I checked that too, but I didn't see it.
Well, if you go to Instagram and just copy and go over to Chrome, go over to a Google Chrome browser, it'll run you right in.
Yeah. I know. I didn't see it on Instagram when I checked either. So it's crazy.
Well, anyway, I sent it to you on Instagram because
they just the big tech companies were censoring me. Didn't want me to be a part of this chat.
I guess.
Oh man. Y'all go check out my Instagram story. I posted that one. I really shouldn't have, but I'm betting I'm going to be censored by tomorrow.
Was that the one where it had?
I don't know if I saw
it. To Johnny B. Was that the one that had like Mark Zuckerberg's face and the president of Twitter's face, and they're all in Nazi uniforms with the little patch on the side with their like Facebook and Twitter and Google and all this stuff? Was it that one?
No, that wasn't that one. I did this. My buddy has got a picture. He sent it to me and he said, caption this. And it's a t-shirt. And he bought it months ago. And it's Biden sniffing on Joe Exotic. And Joe
Exotic, I did see that.
Yeah, and Joe Exotic's holding his boyfriend. So my buddy said, caption this. And I sat there and I was like, he, him, they. Just added pronouns.
Oh, I don't know how I forgot that. Yeah, I saw that. That's freaking hilarious. And how bummed out is Joe Exotic? He was so convinced Trump was going to pardon him on his last day that they got him a stretched Dodge Ram limo that was waiting outside the jail or the prison to pick him up when he was pardoned, and then Trump didn't pardon him.
I was pulling for him, man. Trump pardoned. Oh, dude. If I wasn't trying to say his name.
It was like 140 some people he pardoned.
No, Bannon.
Bannon,
like
yeah.
$25 million off of people in donations. He pardoned Bannon. And I was sitting here, I'm like, just go ahead, I can't wait for a second season of Joe Exotic and the Tiger King. I can't wait. I wanted nothing more to see Joe right away getting his hairs did.
Yeah.
I never saw it. Never saw Tiger King.
It's just one of those things that nobody needs to see it, but the second you start watching, you're going to keep watching it.
It's crazy.
So hey, we both answered this question. Now that you're in here in the chat, give us your 2 favorite calibers, pistol and rifle.
Rifle, I'm gonna have to say it's
6.5 Creedmoor.
Well, it's a toss up between 7mm Rim Mag and 6.5 Creedmoor. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Well, I mean.
There's nothing wrong with 6.5 Creedmoor.
I know it's like the 6.5 by 55 Swede, except for people that like science, And see if I got any haters in the comment section now. But my 7mm Rim Mag's been a lot of fun because I've been doing all this hand loading for it lately, and I still feel like if I had to bug out with only one bolt action gun, it'd probably still be my 7mm Rim Mag, just because I have big things around here that eat me. And I mean, most people would say they want a 300 or a 338 or 375, but I still, my Bergara in 6.5 Creedmoor is just such an accurate gun, center hole to center hole. I mean, every 3-shot group I've shot has been less than 0.6 of an inch, you know. And the rifle is just such a nice gun that it's like, you know, but it's heavy and it does all that. So for handgun caliber, everybody knows it's 10 millimeter. So I mean, I wrote a freaking song about it. So yeah, 10 millimeter. So yeah,
10 millimeter. That's my favorite semi-auto pistol caliber. But overall, when all things are considered, 357 for me.
I understand.
Yeah, my 357 comes back to me. It ships Monday, so
nice.
Yeah, I'll be super happy with that thing. He called me personally, I think it was 2 days ago, and told me it would be on the way back, insured, ready to go. So
627's on my list. That's such a beautiful gun. I love it.
Yeah,
I love end frame revolvers. So you get the end frame, plus you get the 357, and you get 8 shots of it. I mean, you can't ask for more than that.
I traded a broken Desert Eagle for it, so
really?
I wouldn't.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't understand is I get all these comments on my channel, especially about bear guns in 350, and they all like Desert Eagle, and I'm like, you know, those things break. You know, they have springs that are supposed to replace every 1,500 rounds. You know.
And have you held one? I mean, they're freaking heavy. Do you want to pack that thing all the time? On top of everything else you're packing while you're hunting?
I just don't like shooting them. It's like this big bouncy rubber floppy ball thing. It's not intuitive.
Yeah.
I don't mind shooting them. They're all right. But, you know, I have the hand size of a 12-year-old girl. And so, it's pretty much not, it pretty much doesn't fit my hand. It's stretching to reach the trigger and all that jazz too. So,
right.
Hey.
Well, I like to shoot something and feel what it's doing, feel its mechanical impulse and what it's going to do. But a Desert Eagle, I've tried to pay attention. I have had my hands on it. I owned one at length and fired lots of rounds through it, but it still just feels like this rubber bouncy ball flip floppy thing. It just doesn't. It's not intuitive. It doesn't relate from my hand to my brain what it's doing.
What caliber was yours?
50.
I actually think the 50 AE is more pleasant to shoot than the 44 Magnum in it.
Well, I'm sure that it is. It's just that platform just doesn't tell me what it's doing. It's like, did it pick one up? Did it jam? Did it lock back? Did it? You don't know. I pulled the trigger. It went boom. Something happened. Is it going to go boom when I pull the trigger again? Probably not.
Interesting. I have no experience with the Desert Eagle, so this is all news to me.
We had one in the rental counter at the gun store I worked in Georgia, and we constantly sent that thing back. Like it was almost as bad as the Taurus, almost as bad as the Tauruses we had in the rental counter. So, just why I'll never own a Taurus.
But no, even the extractor, the tension on the extractor, it's not a spring. It's nothing but a silicone mound of rubber. So It's like this little mound of rubber, and you put it under there, and hoppies and oil attacks it. So if you keep your gun clean, you are literally attacking the extractor.
That's insane.
Just no.
Wow. Wow. All the things you don't know unless you've dealt with one a lot. I have no experience with it. That's interesting to find out. That seems like a really goofy way to set up the extractor.
Yeah, and now I asked them about it, and they said they just couldn't drill deeply enough to get a spring in there. But I'm sure they could have. But like I said, it's just nothing but this little silicone mound. And now the bolt is made like an AR bolt.
Right.
So you have your extractor pad on the side of it, but an AR actually they did without that rubber mound, but an AR just has this little rubber thingy, and all of your cleaning agents, your oils, all that attack it.
Interesting. So Muhammad says he wants to move to Texas. That's probably pretty solid choice. I mean, don't mess with Texas.
Absolutely.
I want a ranch. Yeah, don't we all? So it looks like you sold Eric on the POF Revolution. So no more AR-10 build. He's just going to go out and buy one.
POF Revolution, dude, that's it.
I built my AR-10, and I love having my AR-10 built. But the thing about building an AR-10 is you pretty much need to get all your parts from one source, so you know they're compatible. Because there's a couple different patterns out there of different things, and some like the DPMS lower receivers could take AR-15, any AR-15 trigger. It didn't matter if it was AR-15 or AR-10. Some of the Armalites couldn't. There are original Armalite mags. So that you find an old one that you start building, it might take only original Armalite mags, which themselves were a modified M14 mag. It just if you're building an AR-10, buy everything together that you know is going to fit, and do that kind of thing. Don't actually buy. Pat was talking about $40 here, $70 there for stuff. I got my football coaching bonus in and went and bought everything all at once, and spend more money doing it probably too. But it runs great, and it runs from 25 round magazines, which everybody says a 6.5 won't run from 25 round magazines, stuff like that. So, but if you're gonna spend the money, and that Revolution's what, a $1,700-$1,800 gun, right?
24.
So 24. So I did save a lot of money. Over that. I spent about 16. So
yeah. Looks like Adam Holmes agrees with you. Said definitely not the true or same true compatibility of the AR-15 platform.
Definitely not. So
he also says, and he said this on your live chat the other day: first rule of AR-10, don't build an AR-10 you can't afford to shoot. Absolutely. If you're going to build it in some higher end like hunting caliber, and hunting caliber aren't cheap to shoot, you're going to spend a lot. If you build it in 308, you should be or 7.62 by 51. You should be able to find enough like milsurp ammunition not now, but back in the day when things were good, enough like milsurp type ammo to keep it fed.
And that's why I built mine in 6.5 Creedmoor, because I stocked up on all the 6.5 Creedmoor Barnes LRX I could find in Anchorage during the summer, because I knew that was going to go too. Yeah. And so I have like 18 different lot numbers, and Barnes are terrible from lot number to lot number, but at least I'll be able to shoot it up and have the brass. So
yeah, absolutely. Gun Snob is reminding Muhammad that he has a video on the best states to live in for gun owners. I've watched it. It's a good video. It's a very good video.
Mm-hmm.
So Eric's saying he wants a lightweight brush gun, polymer lower, carbon fiber barrel. How heavy did you say that POF research was?
Oh, that POF was just ridiculously light. They're sub 7 pounds. The DI, the direct impingement. Now the piston is around 8.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it was really light. We put a big heavy LPVO on it, and I held it just yesterday. It's still not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you want a polymer lower in a 308 platform. Like I've seen like Tennessee Arms and a few others that make them, and they even have the aluminum inserts where they're supposed to. And I'm telling you, I just don't think you want a 308. If you have a compressed 308, you're talking what, 50, 60, or 55,000 psi on the casing, 47,000 psi. So
yeah, probably somewhere in that range.
Hey, Rob, while you're looking that up, I got a question for you.
Sure, what's up?
And you'll probably kick me out of the chat for this, but why is there a picture of the Millennium Falcon on your TV back there instead of Hickok 45?
If you have to ask, you don't deserve to know. I am a huge Star Wars nerd, and if you don't like that, you can all leave the chat.
I do know the history of the Old Republic era from Legends, so yeah.
I never got into cartoons. I like the movies.
Okay, then you're not as big a nerd as me.
Yeah, I guess not. Hey,
Now, you guys will
I've got a pretty freaking nerdy AR build coming up. Star Wars nerdy AR build.
Okay, this I can't wait to see.
I'm really excited about it. What'd you say?
If you guys will excuse me, I'm going to go after a refreshment. I'll be right back.
Awesome. So 308 Winchester with 150 grain pill. You know, if you're looking at some higher end low data, a little more velocity, like here using Winchester 748, you can get it 2996 feet per second with a 150 grain bullet. That's actually only running 43,000 psi. But using like a tack powder, we're getting you 2,856 psi. That's running 59,000 psi.
Yeah, I thought there was
over 100 feet per second less. I think I know which powder I'd be using. The one that gives me 100 feet more per second with almost 8,000 less psi.
That sounds like it is the tack powder is pretty slow burning comparatively, isn't it?
It is. So that probably you'd probably only get that velocity in a longer barrel. Like if you're doing a really short, 16-inch, more tactical build, you're probably not going to get that velocity, and you're probably going to be launching huge fireballs.
Definitely.
Warsaw Patriot. Now, here's a question. Is everybody tired of political threats to disarm the populace in America? Yes. If you are armed, you're tired of being threatened to be disarmed. I think that is pretty much right across the board for all of us. And he says verbal threats. Well, we have all kinds of threats. So we have the verbal threats. We have stuff that he's putting on paper that he plans to do. None of it's good.
Yeah, well.
Warsaw Patriot. I'm sick of our country contradicting itself. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. One piece at a time, and it didn't cost me a dime. You'll know me when I come through your town.
I made that joke about the last house that I bought. I bought it through a court order, and the title weighed 60 pounds, just like that song.
That's funny.
Because I started at the top of the courthouse, and I had to register everything. I had to get a registered copy of the court order. Then I had to go down and put it in my name, and then I had to go down to the bottom to record it. Literally, I got it one piece at a time. The title weighed 60 pounds.
That's funny. So I just saw your comment, Chuck. She shares a house with 3 or 2 of her other teammates. She maybe could get a Tennessee driver's license, but there's so much more that goes along with changing your driver's license. She'd have to change her car insurance. She would have to change her car registry. She's a resident of Oregon, and we already figured out that a Utah concealed carry permit would cover her there. Brandon looked it up for us. And Utah, they have a huge amount of I have such a hard time with that word. Reciprocity. They work with so many different states, and they're cool with you not being a resident of Utah to have one of their concealed carry permits. So,
Alaska's pretty good too. We can do 39 other states.
Oregon's like terrible.
Yeah, I heard that part. Yeah.
You cannot be a non-resident and get a carry permit, and it's useful in Oregon and almost nowhere else. At Alaskan Ballistics, how much is 1,000? Well, before all this craziness started, you get 1,000 primers for about $34-$35. Sometimes cheaper. I'm only about an hour away from a Cabela's, and when they would get the Cellier and Balot primers, they're not the greatest primers in the world. They work fine, but they're kind of a pain. Like if you use a Dillon like I do, because they have the primer cup is so square. There's so little of a radius on that bottom corner that feeding can be a little funky in a Dillon. But they would go on sale at Christmas for like $17 1,000, and that's when I would go buy. I wish I bought a whole lot more.
Yeah,
I used to consider.
I was telling them.
What was that?
I was telling them I bought a box of 100 primers just a minute ago. Just like when your live chat started, I was walking in the gun store for look for powder and primers. That's my excuse, and it was true. And that's why I'm late and I couldn't find your email. But the gun store would only sell you 100 at a time per day.
Well,
and a pound of, and 1 pound of powder.
That doesn't have any to sell to anybody.
Yeah,
I'd be thrilled if they'd sell us 10 a day, just because that's 10 more than they're selling right now.
Yeah. So I finally got enough large rifle to do 6.5 Creedmoor, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to put for my son's 7mm 08, which he's making noise in the background, not even big enough to hold it yet. But I was like, I better load up the ammo for it now, figure it out, so I know what to load for him, right? And so that we at least have ammo to shoot in 5 or 6 or 7 years, right?
Right.
And so I figured I'd load him a slower burning powder, even though it's an 18-inch barrel, and a 120 grain bullet. And if I back the powder charge down enough, I could I got a ton of large rifle Magnum primers, and I feel like I could use those if you back the powder charge down enough. I've done that in 270. In 270 and 30-06, that's all I ever use is large rifle Magnums. And so I figured I got enough of those to spare a few and, at least do a test run. And I've been having a hard time finding those the slow burning medium powders like Varget and BLC2 and 4064 that you load 308 with, H335. I finally found some BLC2 tonight at $37 a pound. And so now I got powder and primers to load for my little Barrett's gun. So hopefully I'll find a good load for it and I'm gonna run. I got 3 boxes of 120 grain tip TSX for it. Nice. So I think that's gonna be a good load. I saw what it does in a 7 mag. I'll put out a video in a few weeks, but let's just say that the 120 grain tip TSX was going so fast that it shredded its pedals and penetrated like 8 water jugs.
Holy cow!
So, yeah, it was. It shredded its pedals in the port shoulder and went through 8 water jugs, or no, 6 water jugs, something like that. But it's still a lot, and and they don't kick because it's a 120 grain bullet. There's no recoil, and I got an average. I have it written down somewhere right here. I got an average for those. I think it was 36.16 was the average. I had one that was they were all in the 36.10 to like 36.40, except for one. I remember I loaded one in a Winchester case because I was reloading 10 test rounds, and one was in a Winchester case, and the rest were in Nosler cases. And I'm pretty sure that one that was like 35.55 was in the Winchester case. It's amazing how much difference the brass itself makes.
Wow. It can.
Sorry,
Adam here says everyone but me needs to stop panic buying. Well, then you're part of the problem, Adam. Hate to tell you, but you are part of the problem.
No, Adam's a good guy. He sent me a bunch of 10mm bullets. Yeah, everybody but me and Adam, Rob, and Pat need to quit panic buying.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't panic bought since March. I've just been opportunistic.
Opportunistic buying. Gotcha.
Holy cow, we are so far behind the comments, and I lost my spot. Let's see. Did I make these go backwards somehow? What in the heck?
I wish I'd have realized to post that I'd be here to send some of my people this way. I'm sure we all share people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people that are on here tonight that I see on Chuck's all the time.
Oh, yeah. I recognize most of the names.
So every house in the UK should have stairs up to the front door. I don't know what that means.
Oh, because they were talking about earlier, you have to, they were talking about in the UK, if you retreated upstairs, then you can defend yourself. That's what they were talking about. So.
Somehow I must have lost a bunch of my comments because I go to the top and the top comment is one I hadn't gotten to yet. So I must have hit something wrong there. So if I skipped over your comment, I apologize. It's simply my complete ignorance. Wasn't trying to skip over you. You're allowed to own a shotgun with valid firearms permit after personal and professional scrutiny. Okay.
And I also heard that there's a lot of places you can own guns in England, but you had to keep them at the gun club and could only use them there. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but I've heard it.
French fries, thanks for coming. I'll see you on the next one.
Strictly Blinking.
I'm not familiar with this channel. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, good guy.
I will go and search him out. Paul C. Robertson, ground floor is your garden, is it not?
Garden's the backyard.
Yeah.
Backyard.
Yes, I think that includes garden. Okay. I've got a shot competition with members of 3 Gun UK. They had tricked out high cap shotguns and AR-22s, but borrow real AR lowers in the States. Okay. AR-22 sounds decent. AR-22 kind of fits in with my really super nerdy Star Wars AR build that's coming up. I'm probably telling you more than I should. But you guys are going to be like, you're such a freaking dork. But I don't care. It's going to be awesome.
I'm going to love it.
PMR 30 in 22 long rifle looks fun. Quad stack mags. That's not the PMR 30. The PMR 30 is the 22 Magnum. The quad stack mag, the CP 33.
Yeah.
It's a weird looking gun, but most of the reviews I've seen on it are really good. So
I saw a gun I really liked the other day. I thought this would be fun. It was a CZ AR style, not quite an AR. It had a handguard and a rail and a threaded barrel, 18-inch barrel. It only had 10 round mags, so had an M4 style stock and whatever. But it was a 22 Magnum. It was proprietary mags, 22 Magnum, and it was a CZ semi-automatic 22 Magnum. Yeah, I forgot. I forgot what they called it. 522, 527.
Huh.
Yeah, it's. I picked it up. It's so light, pointable, shootable, and you could. It's an 18-inch or 16-inch barrel, so you could throw a suppressor on there still, and it would still be light and portable. Not that you can get subsonic 22 Magnum, but it's not that loud to begin with,
In a pistol, it is. My PMR 30, it is freaking obnoxious.
Oh, I bet it is.
Big old fireballs. I mean, it is surprisingly. Everybody that has shot it is shocked by how loud that little gun is.
I believe it. One thing, the difference between like a 22 long rifle and a 22 Magnum is generally a Magnum is loaded with rifle powders to get the velocities out of the barrel.
Really?
Out of the barrel. And a 22 long rifle has generally got a faster pistol powder in it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
If my son gets too loud in the background, feel free to mute me until I
he's
talk.
fine.
Okay.
He's fine.
No,
Gun Snob confirmed he is in Oklahoma, and apparently so is Colton Perryman.
Yeah, so I was right when I started singing Oklahoma.
Steers and Stars. I'm not sure what that is referring to.
Texas.
The Gun Snob is from Mars. That's possible, I guess. Apparently, Brad Pitt's from there too. Brandon says, here's something stupid. I work for a city in Oregon that would make you buy a permit for city projects. As I said earlier, I don't want to get too specific on what I do for a living, but it does have to do with construction type stuff. And I do know that even on government paid for jobs, the contractor still has to go to the government and pay for the permit. So I believe that 100%.
We used to build whole grocery stores, and in those municipalities, they would tell us if anybody comes in and they ask you what you're doing, you're tearing stuff out. But it was obvious we're building whole grocery stores.
That's funny.
It was hilarious until they padlocked us in there And one day,
Oh, seriously?
the come in and they padlocked the whole store. They said, "Y'all get out. Police is on the way."
Enam Ahmed says, fun fact, Second Amendment was based in English common law based on the Bill of Eights, 1689. I'm going to have to take your word for it. I have no idea.
Rights. Yeah, it's the Bill of Rights. English common law had the Bill of Rights first.
Interesting.
They ignore it now, but yeah.
Chuck thinks HSM bear loads are weak. I wouldn't know. I've never tested them. I'm sure with the kind of stuff you do, Chuck, you probably tested the crap out of them, though.
Yes, their 10 millimeter is like a 40 Smith & Wesson. Their 45-70 is like 400 feet per second less than Underwood or Buffalo Bore. So like they might use a hot powder pat to make you think it recoils. It's not going to get the velocity or whatever. So
it just didn't feel good at all. The Hornady's at 2,000. Well, not 2,000 feet per second. It was actually the Hornady's were rated hotter and faster, but they showed so much softer.
Yeah, the Hornady FTX. The Hornady FTX, we were doing a ballistic video on that, Chuk and I, and we got what was it? We got like 2,100 out of the 4.5 to the 5-inch, the V model 5-inch, 460, and that's a cool little gun. I can borrow that one for videos. I need to do it again, but yeah.
I'll ask, can you carry a?
Yeah, I thought I was going to lose.
That's pretty funny.
No, KFC actually got rid of their plastic knives in the UK.
Are you serious? That is insane. You still have the KFC spork?
Yeah, you can get the spork, but they did away with the little plastic knives.
That's nuts.
Well, there was a while there where they had more stabbings than New York had murders. So
yeah.
So I guess they banned all the plastic knives too.
Paul Robertson says, couldn't believe the velocities I get on my Rossi 357 with home loads. I believe it. I just over a week ago, I did a video, 357 barrel length comparison. I was shooting max loads of H110 powder behind 158 grain Hornady XTPs. Out of my son's 4-inch Taurus, we were getting under 1,200 feet per second. Out of a 16-inch Rossi, we were getting an average of 1,797 feet per second. That is one freaking smoking 357 round. But they were breaking up terribly. You know, we shot them through pork ribs and then ballistics gel and into water jugs. And in the pork ribs, before it exited the pork ribs, we were finding pieces of copper and lead.
Yeah, they're not designed for that kind of velocities. What it would be cool to see.
They seem to be even overexpanding in the 4-inch, at least more than I would have wanted.
Yeah, I would love to see a 125 or even a 110 grain bullet in that Rossi, because if you can get that much speed with the 158 grain, with something that's going to cause less friction because the bullet's shorter, you're going to get a lot more speed. I bet you could break 2,000 with the easy.
I think so too, 100%.
Yeah. If I find the bullets, I'll send you some bullets to do that. So
cool. I'll do it. I'll load them up. I'll do it. And Pat wants to know 450 Bushmaster or 4570. So what I would say is, if it's an AR, 450 Bushmaster. If it's a bolt or a lever or anything else, 4570. That's my opinion. What do you guys say?
I own both. 450 Bushmaster is just brutal on its own, but 4570 is still going to hit hard regardless. But 450 Bushmaster, when I shoot my steel, it's far harder on hardware. I know when you put the velocity and the bullet weight, you only get the kinetic energy downrange, and it's always the same number. But 450 Bushmaster breaks far more bolts, breaks far more chains, and is much harder on hardware than 4570 is.
Interesting. What do you say, Chuck?
that is. Well, I can say for a fact, well, not for a fact from personal experience, but either is better than a big grizzly bear on top of you. So that's my opinion. But I go 45-70 is much more common here. There are more bear rounds in 45-70, which means they're better hog rounds too.
Right.
So I would go 45-70 lever action. I would get the tactical lever actions like Pat, Real Man of Genius, does right there. Tactical lever action. Real Man of Genius. So
That's funny.
Oh, that's my next song. That's my next song.
Uh-oh. I'll send you some stuff.
Today we salute you, Mr. Want to be tactical lever action.
So Enam Ahmed says, in accordance with the Second Amendment, Americans can stand up against the state as a group of militia if enough of you felt the same. Yes, we could. And if they keep pushing the way they're pushing, we might. And then Adam throws in there, yeah, but if you lose, you die. That's true.
I die free.
That's true.
I'm also a science fiction nerd. Stargate, I die free.
James Pooh says 45-70, but 450 Bushmaster's nice in a small gun package. Yeah. And Paul says militia was the National Guard. Yeah, that's where the National Guard basically got its start. Why the Millennium Falcon is not on the TV, Chuck. It is a picture. So let's see. There's the TV.
Okay, gotcha.
There's the Millennium Falcon. That was a present from my kids for Christmas, because they know that I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and it's awesome. I don't want to hear no negative said about it.
I'm actually more jealous.
Oh, good.
I didn't get a Star
That's
Wars
what I was
nerd
going for, jealousy.
Yeah.
Apparently, Hobby Lobby has those, and they have them with for X-Wings and TIE Fighters as well. It's almost like a schematic drawing and showing where everything is on it. You
So
only
next
work.
Next year, you're going to have 3 of them up there, huh?
Nah. I love the Millennium Falcon. The other ones are just there. I mean,
but did you like the new Star Wars movies, the sequel trilogy?
Unpopular opinion. Yeah, I did. I liked them better than the prequels.
I'm the opposite. I like the prequels better.
Okay.
So
Enam says, I'm guessing the technicality is you would need to feel oppressed in order to justify invoking the Second Amendment. You don't have to invoke the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is around at all times. Using the Second Amendment, it's easy to justify if you have the government trying to take your constitutionally protected rights away from you. That's all it needs. I mean, that's it.
Well, you have 74 million voters that don't feel that they kind of got their share. You look back to 2016, the way that I explain a Donald Trump presidency is people didn't feel that their voice was heard. Yeah. So kind of what I heard around back then is it's already broken. Mm-hmm. We can't break it. So that explains the whole 2016 upset with Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And now you have 74 million people. What is it? Like 51% of the country feels like their vote wasn't cast right.
His last day in office, he had a 51% approval rating, which it's crazy. How can you have a 51% approval rating and lose an election?
Yeah. Yeah. And even in Georgia, that whole in the middle of the night, they're not even hiding it.
Yeah. Yeah. I made a joke. So I know you know this, Pat. I got monetized as of this week. On Tuesday, I got monetized. But I was actually sent a denial email. I was told I was denied because I broke the harmful content policy. And of course, there was that's a very broad policy, and they didn't say what it was or what video it was. Just Sorry, you didn't make it. Wait 30 days and reapply and remove everything from your channel that breaks us. I instantly called CloverTac because he is the man, and he talked to his people in YouTube, and I got monetized that day and didn't have to reapply. But I made the joke to him. The denial email from YouTube came in at 3:30 in the morning. I was like, that denial came in like a freaking Biden vote, when I was sleeping.
They said they promise.
Go ahead.
I was done. Does this not worry you guys? Yes, it worries me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, pardon that. I had to do some home administration things right there.
No sweat. I'm a family man myself. I get it. Let's see. Got my Smith & Wesson 8-shot pistol and my Rossi rifle in 357. Something nice about having the same caliber. Absolutely. That's the way U.S. Army used to be. You carry a lever action 45 long Colt and a 45 long Colt and a revolver. Tell us what 8-shot Smith & Wesson you got. They're all cool. There's no bad ones. They're all great.
Yeah, it's probably either a 327, 627, or TRR8.
Yep. The only one of those three I've shot is the TRR8, which is, I don't know. That's not my speed. It's weird to me to make a revolver look all tactical with rail all over it and stuff. But it shot nice.
I'm a fan.
Huh? You're a fan?
It matches his tactical. It matches his tactical lever actions. He has a tactical revolver and a tactical lever action.
Best thing in Tennessee is the salt hams and Hickory Star Marina. I'll have to take your word for it. What do you think, Pat? You're in Tennessee. Has he got it right?
Yeah, the salted hams, Benton's. Benton's is known worldwide for his salted ham. They've offered to buy him out, I don't know how many times. And the old guy just hangs out, makes his hams, does his thing. And he has been sent offers from New York and all over the place to buy him out. And he's in a little cinder block building in Madisonville, Tennessee.
That's cool. I love hearing stuff like that. When you got some just little guy that everybody loves and he's like, I don't care about the money. I'm not selling out. I'm going to keep producing what the people love. Because the second one of the big corporation gets their hands on it, they're going to screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they might screw it up, but they're still going to try to keep it. To anybody that's tasted a Benton ham, they're still going to try to keep that same signature.
Sure.
It's 4 or 5 years down the road when they start looking at the bottom line. That's when they start screwing it up.
Adam says you're moving to Texas, and Muhammad says fingers crossed. And he says, what part? I live in El Paso. Paul Robertson, stick with my 357 over 30-30. I mean, yeah, depending on what you're doing it or what you're using it for. 30-30 definitely has a lot more power, but if you're not hunting or anything like that, maybe it's not really necessary.
Yeah. Now that last shot of the season, 178-yard heart shot on a doe, 30-30, I wouldn't have tried that with 357.
Yeah. No, definitely not. And then Ahmed says, would you guys say you're gun obsessed, as in you don't look at guns as a form of defense, but more an accessory? I'm going to say no. Let me explain, though. Would I say I'm gun obsessed, period? Yes. But I look at it as there's many reasons I love guns. I love the ability to defend myself and my family and my property. I love the ability to defend my country from being taken over by the powers that be that kind of are heading that way right now. And I just love them because they're so much freaking fun. I mean, just for fun. There's so many different aspects of firearms I love. And yes, I would say I'm gun obsessed.
I couldn't say it any better. I ditto what you said.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. There's a couple 100 pounds in my freezer.
That too, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, life, liberty, which actually my brother-in-law is sober now, but he didn't realize that he's the reason that I now keep a gun on me at all times. He was upstanding, like literally. You could call him at 3 a.m. and borrow $1,000. And then he got on meth. And one day I met him at the front door, and the only thing I could do, my hair was standing up like I hadn't combed it yet. I was shirtless and crazy. And he looked over at the coffee table, and the boys had one of those Dollywood guns. It's like the old flintlock looking fake thing with orange tip on it.
Yeah.
He said, "Is that real?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And he left. And ever since then, I have been armed. So
I get it.
Pat's like Ted Nugent. He's never been to a gun-free zone.
no, there is no gun-free zone if you're around me.
Yeah. Muhammad is moving to Texas, but I wish I'm there when a Muhammad Rahman walks into a Texan gun store. I just need to be there. You know, I haven't spent a lot of time in Texas, but I have been lucky enough to get to be pretty good friends with some people from Texas. And from what I know of the people that I know, I think they would welcome anybody come walking into a gun store looking to exercise their Second Amendment, no matter if their name is Mohammed Rahman or not. What do you guys think?
Yeah, as long as he brings the right air in there.
Right.
Now, I've noticed it doesn't matter who it is, what nationality, ethnicity, creed. If you don't come in with a little bit of an air that you're there respectfully, that would be the only concern, which I'm sure that Muhammad is going to walk in respectfully. But that would be the only way that I would see anybody be kind of welcome to leave if they walk in disrespectfully.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I worked in several gun stores. I've sold guns to people who are from the Middle East. We never said a thing, you know, not at least not to their face. I remember my boss might have said, "Well, no wonder he's delayed. He was born in Pakistan or whatever." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's." But it was right after September 11th. It was literally, you know, November of 2001 when this happened. So anyway. Anyway, so yeah, I agree with what Pat's saying. You know, the guy was respectful. The guy was wanting something to defend his business with. You know, is what it is. So
I think Muhammad's been watching some Demo Ranch videos. He says, "Catch me in Apache Rifle Works." Adam says, just find a toothpick to chew on. You'll fit right in. Edom says, "Hi, I'm Muhammad Rahman from the UK. I relocated countries to own a firearm. Not sure what I'll do with it yet." You know, if I was working behind the counter of that gun store, I'd say, that is freaking awesome. You're willing to relocate countries because you want to be able to own a firearm. What can I help you buy?
You know, we have training classes Monday at 9 a.m. if you would like to sign up.
Exactly.
Yep.
I saw it earlier, but it was one of the ones I lost. I don't know how I lost the comments, but somebody was asking about the 6.8 Western. We talked about that on Chuck's live stream the other day. Were you on was that the one you were on, Pat? I don't remember.
Yeah, he was on it.
You were on that one? I wasn't sure which one it was. Personally, I'm excited for that 6.8 Western. When you start looking at the numbers coming off that thing, I think it's going to be freaking awesome. I want one.
I agree. I hope the caliber gets popular enough that I don't have to buy a Browning or a Winchester, that I can buy it in a good rifle like a Savage or a Remington. If new Remingtons are any good, or a Bergara or something like that. Like I'm looking for that level. Like, because if it doesn't get to that level, it's going to be, you know, phased out like the 224 Valkyrie or whatever.
You know, I have a feeling we're going to see it offered quite a bit because there's a lot of excitement about the round when you start seeing the numbers that it's producing. At least amongst the hunting crowd, because I mean, really, that's aimed at the hunting docu or the group of people that enjoy hunting. The numbers are phenomenal. I mean, the wind drift, the drop, the retained muzzle energy, everything looks really, really good.
I'd like to get one before my bear hunt in May.
Oh, that'd freaking hammer a bear. I mean, where you're at, I'm guessing you're shooting black bear. I mean, that would just absolutely hammer the hell out of them.
Well, I'm looking at going to Montana.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you know where?
Huh?
I used to live in Montana. Whereabouts?
It's horses something.
I'll have to look. Hungry Horse?
Huh?
Is it Hungry Horse?
Yeah.
That was about 7 miles from where I lived.
Okay. Hungry Horse, Montana.
Yeah.
Go kill some black bear down there in May.
There you go. While you're there, go up to the top of Hungry Horse Dam. It's the 4th tallest dam in the world. And know that when I was in high school, I went up and partied on top of that dam.
Well, I'll stand up there and I'll say, well,
I lived in a town, it's called Columbia Falls. It's one of the last towns, like when you're heading, Hungry Horse is in the canyon as you're heading to Glacier Park from the Bitterroot Valley. And Columbia Falls is kind of right at the top of the Bitterroot Valley, right where the mouth of the canyon. And then you've got several canyon towns. Hungry Horse is the first one, and then you come across Martin City, West Glacier, Coram, all these other ones. And then you hit Glacier Park. While you're there, you got to go see Glacier Park. It's stunning. It's amazing.
Okay. Well, I'll be there for 3 days, 4 nights.
Nice.
Yeah. I need to talk to the guide. I want to take the 30-30. I think it'd be cool as crap to take the 30-30. But
I don't see why you could
be within 200 yards.
I know of a lot of black bear that were killed up there when I was there, and most of the time you're not getting above 200 pounds. If you hit 200 pounds, that's a pretty substantial black bear. So I think you do just fine with a 30-30.
That's a cub.
Huh?
That's a cub.
Well, it's because
No, seriously, a 200-pound bear is a good bear. So it's bigger than anything Chook shot. So it's bigger than you think.
This is a guided hunt, so I'm sure that the guide is gonna no, that ain't a big enough. That ain't no, that's the one to shoot. So
I'm going to skip over a couple of comments because I just happen to see one that I really love. If Chuck sees it, he knows what I'm going for. I love it. Paul, you're the man. You're right. The 270 win is over. It's not over 100 years. You're actually wrong. It was developed in 1925. So it's like 96 years better than a 6.5 Creedmoor. So.
Yeah, I can't wait till that 6.8 Western comes out. 6.8 SPC. I love the 6.8 SPC. I still think it's the best non-AR caliber or non-5.56 caliber. So
it's a good caliber. The 6mm 243 is another, or 223 is another good one. But yeah, I know a guy that has killed a lot of black-tailed deer that we have here in Western Oregon with the 6.8 SPC.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite. What was that?
I said my favorite though, non 223 AR caliber was that 25-45 Sharps they came out with. That one has some really good ballistics, but it never took off.
I love my 350 Legend. Absolutely love it. Kind of like a really long 357. I love 357, so it just works.
Does it take 9mm bullets or 3.58? Is it?
So I've never tried a 3.58. When you look at it, it lists 3.55 through 3.58 or 3.57. Mm-hmm. Some people say they'll chamber in a 3.58. Some people say they won't. I have not really loaded for mine much. I was looking to get brass, then I was finding that Winchester white box stuff for like $8.97 at Walmart. So I bought tons and tons and tons and tons of that, and I'm still shooting that. And I haven't actually gotten around to actually loading any 350 Legend yet, because I've just been shooting that. And then I picked up a couple boxes of Hornady American Whitetail to hunt with, because I was just busy, and they were cheap, and I shot like 1-inch groups with it. It's 170 grain, and I picked those up. But I did make a couple of dummy rounds. So this is a 350 Legend with 147 grain cast lead 9mm bullet.
Mm.
And then
I bet that's fast.
What was that?
I bet that's fast.
The 145s that the Winchester white box shoots, they're coming out at they're around 2,300.
Okay.
They're coming out pretty good. And those 170s are coming out like 22, so you don't lose much going up to the higher weight. And then this is a 200 grain cast lead powder coated bullet. It's from a 358 mold. It was actually it's a Lee mold, and they made it for the 35 Whalen. But I put it through my 9mm sizer. You have to size all your cast bullets anyway, and knocking it down another 0.003 of an inch is actually only 0.002. So it went down to 356. Is nothing. So I'm really excited. Like I said, these are just dummies, no primers, no powder. But I'm really excited to see what that 200 grain does, because I think that could be pretty cool.
So is the other one, is it gas checked?
Neither are gas checked. I don't do any gas checking. Almost no gas checking. I do powder coating, and if you powder coat, you don't have to mess with wax lubricant, which I hate because it gums up your dies and makes a mess. And you don't need to gas check. You can push stuff pretty freaking hard with powder coating. So the only times I gas check is I have a couple molds that are gas check molds. Like my 300 Blackout, it's a gas check mold. It's 230 grain. And I don't gas check it because I need to gas check it for leading purposes. I gas check it because if it's a gas check designed bullet, if the gas check's not there, I have seen a major decrease in accuracy. So if it's not for a gas check, but anymore, I've started buying molds that are not made, for a gas check. I do.
Where is he?
I do these are my 635 grain pentagonal 500 mags. And you can see they're not cut for a gas check. And so I've been buying more and more spendier molds to get away from the gas checks, except for this is the Lee 440 grain 500 mag bullet. I gas check those because it's designed for a gas check. And these shoot really, really good in my 500 mag. Let's see.
Yeah, because I'm reading the books and things like that. They're saying if you go past 1,400 feet per second, to reduce fouling, you go ahead and gas check it. And I've been like the lube, it all winds up in my suppressors. Gas checks, they kind of fly errant. I pulled pieces out of a gas check out of my suppressor. So that was why I was asking.
Powder coat. Powder, even though this one looks like it's just a solid lead bullet, that's clear powder coat. I've gone to
That's what I had. It looks like straight up lead.
Yep, that's a clear powder coat. I've gotten away from the colored stuff. All the colored stuff, the red, and I had some black. That was all Harbor Freight powder, and it's really poor quality powder. So I started buying all my powder coating through a place called Powder by the Pound. And I don't like all the goofy colored stuff. I mean, I see people that powder coat and they're using red, blue, green, all kinds of stuff. I want my bullets to look like bullets, not like Christmas lights. So I just buy the clear, and it works fantastic.
Can I get the powder coat in Tennessee orange?
I don't know.
I'm just looking.
Go look. I mean, they've got a million different. They got Ford blue. A lot of people are really fans of the Ford blue. But yeah, they've got a bunch of different colors.
I do everything zombie green.
Zombie green. So yeah, if you you just powder coat, which is easier than traditional lubing. You don't need a lubricizer. You don't gum up and make your dyes a freaking mess. Powder coating. Powder coating's the way to go. It's easy. I put my powder in this. So clear powder coat is white until after you bake it. So I warm up my bullets, dump them in this thing, dump my powder in, shake the living crap out of it, pour it through one of these little baskets that I got at Home Goods. So I put this in a tub and just dump this in here. Powder goes straight through, just leaves the bullets. And I got a toaster oven that I bought at Goodwill just for powder coating bullets. And you bake them at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. It's easy. They stick together at first, but after they cool, the powder coats gets a little brittle and you can start popping them apart. Some people are really particular about it and they'll stand all their bullets up and then try to balance them as they're putting them in there. Nah. I just dump them in, bake them, and they're good to go. And I've shot thousands and thousands and thousands of bullets that way.
Well, I'll keep that in mind because I'll buy a lot of bullets that are pre-lubed.
Right.
And then, like the last spear bullets that I bought, they're hard lubed. So I don't really have to worry about all that junk.
All the mess.
Yeah, but they were just hard lubed. They're not powder coated. They're not traditionally lubed. It's called hard lube.
Okay. Well, this kind of makes it so you don't have to use the lube. And I'm terrible about cleaning guns. Terrible. And I can show you guns right now that have had hundreds of powder coated bullets through them, and there is zero trace of leading. It's easy.
I rotate quickly enough. I rotate between lead and copper. That's just my thing. And I don't wind up with much leading because I'm always back forth.
Right.
So what leading I wind up with, I'll shove it out. So
with copper with the jacketed bullets.
Yeah.
In my pistols, I shoot almost nothing but cast. And I mean, nothing gets leaded up when I'm powder coating. I haven't had any problems. People thought I shouldn't shoot cast in my 300 blackout AR. Well, you're going to get lead and stuff like that's going to go into your gas tube. I've never had any issue whatsoever. The people that say that kind of stuff don't do it. People that do powder coat, they realize it's not a problem. It works really well. It's easier. It's cheaper. You don't have to buy special equipment for it. I mean, I buy those little baskets at Home Goods for like $2 a piece. And I've got tons of them. It's the way to go. If you're going to cast, powder coating is the way to go. Who's got AR blueprints? Well, I don't know what you mean by AR blueprints. They kind of go together like an erector set.
No, you can't stop the signal. He must be talking about printing.
For like 3D printing?
Yeah.
That could be.
Check out Rifle Connection or Control Pew here on YouTube. Like the control button, control, but you don't spell out the word control. It's CNTRL Pew. I just found out about him today and subscribed to him today. So, or there's Rifle Connection on Instagram. They have a lot of stuff. So, for 3D printing, which is not illegal as of right now. It's not illegal, period, because the Second Amendment does it. The government might think it's illegal at some point, but it's not illegal, period. Because you have the right to defend yourself with anything by any means possible. So,
I wasn't trying to show that comment. I was actually trying to get rid of it. We don't need those kind of comments on here. That's just, I don't know if you guys saw it, but that could get us into trouble. We don't want to mess with that. Paul says CZ has a double stack 10mm coming out. Is there anybody that has a double stack 10 besides Glock?
Rock Island, Springfield has one or had one. Remington had one before the 10mm before they went down. Springfield XD has one. There are conversions for the 45 Smith and Wesson. Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of double stacks out there. Glock is still the best one, but you know, they don't fall apart like the Springfield XD.
Ouch.
I won't own a Springfield XD. It's
Yeah.
just me, B. Just want to send some love. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Open the doors. Don't know what that's about. I love extractors. I do too, because I don't like my spent brass to stay in the barrel.
Good point.
Monty sent us. I don't know Monty, but thank you, Monty. Appreciate it.
Not pepper shot.
Happy Thursday. Nice. Extractors and bolts turn me on. Well, you're going to make one gun nut very happy someday.
That must have been my whole Desert Eagle thing.
Oh,
Talking
that
about
could be.
talking
That
about
could
silicone mounds. Yeah.
Hey, are we sure that's not Alan B. Pro's new name? Janice Gay, Pat, right there. You
Could
think that's
be.
him trolling us?
Could be, but
Could be.
cheers, Janice.
Yep.
He said he should have pardoned Julian Assange. We're way behind in the chat, obviously. I would agree with that because Julian Assange has been going out and just putting out information that we should all know. But
Yep.
he
Agreed.
really is Julian Assange in trouble with the U.S.? I thought he'd been he was arrested by England.
He's in England. I think he was going to be deported to Sweden or Switzerland or something like that. And
Yeah,
he's hiding in the embassy.
Yeah, he was in the embassy for a long time. But yeah, that's another country. He didn't really have a way to pardon him.
Edward Snowden would be a good one to pardon.
What do you do with your extractor and bolt? I want to know. I have an hour. Okay. I think we're getting a little trolled there. Sending love and positivity. Thank you very much. I have an AR-15. That's good. I like it. People having AR-15s. Keeping it real, saying hello, hello. Make an AR in 30-06. You know, I know a company that makes 300 Win Mag in 30 in an AR.
Nope, I've held one. Noreen makes it.
Okay.
Noreen Firearms makes it.
I can't think of a company that does the 300 Win.
No, there's a couple of companies that make a 300 Win. Okay. Forgot what their names are, but Noreen does make a 30-06.
Nemo makes the 300 Win Mag.
Who makes it?
Nemo.
Yeah,
Nemo
there's another
Arms,
company too. Yeah. But what would be cool is if that AR 30-06 took Browning BAR mags.
That would be cool.
The original Browning mags. That would be cool.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I don't know what mags it takes. I think they're proprietary. I think they had to be.
Paul says Disney sucks. Okay.
Yeah, they pretty much killed Star Wars. The sequel trilogy was awful.
Preferred bullet weight for 350 Legend. You know, I guess it depends on what for. I've been having some really good luck with the 170 grain for accuracy. I hope to do better with my own home loads. But you know, I think most people are pretty happy with most of the bullets they're getting in 350 Legend. Although it's not really like it's a huge spread. I mean, I think it's the 145 is the smallest I've seen made, and I think the 170 is the heaviest as of yet. But you know, there's not a lot of loadings on that caliber as of yet.
I'd like to see you, since it's a .355, I'd like you to see you load up like a Federal 124 grain HST in there and see how fast you can get it going. It'd be kind of cool to see, like,
yeah,
or even or a Lehigh Extreme Defender.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
I would like to see a Lehigh Extreme Defender .355 Those are what, 90 grain bullets plus P plus or 100 grain. I think you would get that going. I don't know, that thing might go through the level 3 plate. You know,
Could be.
yeah.
You know,
That could be,
I have a video where I had an old Army surplus Kevlar helmet, and
Mhm.
that 350 Legend with 145 grain full metal jacket zipped through it like it was butter.
yeah. They're only
That's
rated to
a
44
single
Magnum.
side, both sides.
Yeah.
So it double penetrated.
hmm
Adam says Social Aggressive has done a great job testing 350 Legend. You know, the Social Aggressive has a lot of very good, very informative videos. He really spends a lot of time testing stuff out. He has some really, really good info, and he really goes through, you know, whatever. He actually has one of the best videos I've seen yet on the 6.8 Western. I just watched that yesterday. Yeah, he really puts stuff to the test. How many subs do you need to enable super chat? I have no idea. Do you know what it is, Chuck?
You're monetized.
I'm monetized.
Then did you turn the monetization on for this video beforehand?
No, I only did it through StreamYard.
Okay, yeah, you have to go into YouTube and turn the monetization on, and then you should be able to receive a super chat. I was looking to do it earlier myself when I couldn't get the link, so I was going to throw it.
How do I do it from YouTube? Do I just go into my channel?
Just go into your channel, click on there'll be your upload section and your live section. Click on your live section and mark it monetized. Stay on afterwards. Let me tell you some tricks real quick. So I do need to get over to Chuke's chat though. So
it is on now.
There you go.
I wish I'd had it on earlier, but that's all right. All right, I guess it's on there now.
There you go.
All right, you need to bounce off and go to Chuke's.
Yeah, I was going to bounce off.
We've been doing this for 2.5 hours. I'm betting Pat, especially since you're so much further ahead, you probably need to get off here and go to sleep, don't you?
Yeah, I'm dragging. I cut down a big old tree today, so I've been wrestling all sorts of chains and everything. So,
well, you didn't have to stay on the whole time, but I sure appreciate it.
Oh no, you're good.
A lot of fun.
I just laid back so that my back would let me loose.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched a bunch of people cut down trees today.
No, I cut one down. It's sitting on the hill overlooking town, and I pretty much bet that tree was so old. Now it was rotten, but the base of it was solid. But I'm going to count the rings, and I bet that tree was so old it watched the town grow.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
If it had eyes.
Well, I'm just saying, it sat up there while the town came through its generations. People came, people went, kind of thing. Okay. So, yeah, once I count the rings, I'll have a final determination of how old it actually was.
Wow.
That up in McMinn County?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, that thing, my
Sorry
chainsaw.
to get to a lot of these comments on here. There's a couple I want to adjust real quick before we get out of here. Tracy's asking, is this going to be a regular live stream on Thursdays? For me, yes. I don't know if Chuck and Pat are going to be joining me, but they will always be invited. But I am planning on being here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I just want to make sure you guys knew that. And have you seen or have thoughts about the new Savage straight pull? Straight pull rifles are cool. It's nothing new. They've been doing them for a long time, just not a lot of them. But for a hunter, unless you are, in my opinion, unless you're going somewhere, you're doing like hog hunting where you have multiple targets, I think it's a waste, honestly. If you need to be able to rack your bolt that fast to get that many shots off, but you're only hunting one animal, you probably need to spend a little more time at the range. But it's maybe like a hog gun. You know, you're going out and you might be going after a whole sounder. Yeah, sure. Cool. Other than that, I probably won't be buying one myself.
Yeah, straight pulls are cool. I just don't see them locking up as tightly as a regular bolt action locks up. And so I think that could be accuracy suffering. Probably not, because they've been using them for years. They've got them. But if you were to use a high pressured round in like one of the old straight pull 6.5 by 55s that, you know, you're going to blow that thing up. They're not as strong as far as like the high pressured rounds as compared to a regular traditional bolt action. So
Well, I had a 6.5
maybe,
by 55.
yeah, didn't they make a straight pull in the 6.5 by 55 one? There,
You're thinking of the Swedish Mauser, but that was a bolt action. The Swiss K31 Schmidt Rubin with a straight pull. That was a 30 caliber. You know, it's pretty much like a 308.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. But I know if you load hot loads in a straight pull, you can possibly get some overpressure issues that are not locked in by the bolt as well. So that's something to consider if you're a hand loader is going to do hot loads.
Right.
But if you pick it up and you like the action, like for me, I'm not going to retrain myself when I've retrained myself on the bolt action. I'm not going to retrain myself. If I need to hunt hogs and need something, I'll take a semi-auto, you know?
Right.
So,
Hashtag lever action.
Right.
tactical lever action.
Yeah.
Well, I maintain lockup and I move a bolt quickly, so hashtag lever action.
But do you get half MOA groups?
But
do you get half MOA groups?
No, I don't get half MOA groups, but I haven't not laid anything down with my MOA accuracy.
There you go. So, yeah, I think for most hunters, the straight pull. I think this will be a good collector's gun in a few years because they won't be producing it very long.
I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna last.
Yeah, I think in 10 or 15 years when people think, oh yeah.
Did you see this? This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, cool. If that's true, I stand corrected and I'm wrong. That's fine.
Yeah,
I don't mind being wrong.
I don't know who we pissed off at YouTube, but I turned the monetization on this and it went yellow.
It always does. And
does it? Okay.
Yeah, it always does. Don't on a live chat. Yeah, that's the way you, let me talk to you about that afterwards. So.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, literally, we've been going for 2.5 hours. I think we're good to call it. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's comments. We kind of went on a couple little rabbit holes here and there, but I think we had some fun conversation. Thanks for everybody watching. Thank you, Pat, Real Man of Genius. Thank you, Chuck, for finally getting the email so you could show up. And we'll see everybody on here next Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Real Man of Genius.
No, yeah.